Almost 1 year ago to this day was when I hit my first $10,000 per month as a 19-year-old agency owner. But the prior 6 months before that, I struggled like hell. I couldn't book meetings, I couldn't sign clients, and that is exactly the part that all the gurus miss out. They don't tell you how hard it is. It felt like the more effort I put into my agency, the less results I was getting. And that is exactly when I learned it's not about working hard. I work less now and make significantly more money because I understand what I'm about to share in this video. Now, I've made this video completely free, and I ask for nothing in return besides you just watching this video and taking some notes. On this channel, I'm literally on a mission to provide more free value than other people's paid content, because this video here single-handedly would have allowed me to save about 1 year of failing, suffering, and just not knowing what to do when I started. So I'm making this for my younger self, the person who had fear, the person who was doubtful whether making money online was going to work. If that resonates with you, then please just watch this video. I promise you it will not disappoint. I'm going to show you step by step how I would do it the fastest possible way, the least stressful way, and let's get into this. What if I told you there's actually only 4 things you need to focus on day to day to make $10,000 per month and change your life? You may think that's bullshit, but it's not. I've broken this video down into 4 of the most simplest stages to achieve your goals and to change your life. So if you're serious about your future and you want to create an amazing future for the ones around you, then I highly suggest you cut out distractions and you take notes, because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you could make $10,000 per month, you already would have done it. And that's the brutal truth. So first of all, I've put a lot of effort into making this video. I truly believe this video is going to be better than most people's paid content and stuff. So make sure you actually watch this and pay attention. So right now, we're in stage 1, foundations. You can't scale if you don't have these 4 things. It's not literally physically possible if you don't have, or you don't know who you're helping, if you don't have an offer, you don't understand sales, and you don't have fulfillment. It's not possible to scale. Okay, so those are just 4 things I needed to get out of the way. And I'm going to explain how you dial all 4 of these in a second. But first of all, I wanted to sort of shift your mindset on this, because yes, you don't have the skills and you don't have the ability to make money or sign clients or sales or appointment setting skills yet, but you need to think from all your benefits. And what I mean by that is listing out the pros of being where you are right now. So you're here and you want to get to this golden 10K per month across the bridge. And there's going to be problems and bottlenecks you're going to have to face along this bridge to get to here. And the good news is that all you have to focus on is appointment setting and sales. Those are the only 2 things. Shut out everything else that isn't appointment setting and sales. Think about how much of a relief that is for you. I wake up and the first thing I do is check my WhatsApp for team messages and client messages, and I've got 50 people asking me things before I can even get on with some deep work. So right now, it's a very simple process to making the money you want. It's not complex. And I'm going to, once again, provide 4 actionable steps you can execute on after this video to make it as easy as possible for you. So I want you to have clarity. But think about that. All you need to focus on is appointment setting and just sales. That is fundamentally all you have to do to get to $10,000 per month. And there's a saying in business that any problem can be solved by talking to your customers. But if you don't have customers or clients, you can't make the product better. You can't make the service better. So initially, all you have to do is get clients on a cheap or free thing and then deliver an amazing service. And you have to rely on your character when you don't have the skill set to deliver an amazing service. So I'm not just saying charge $5,000 when you don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying get them on a much cheaper option. I don't know, $500 a month, and rely on your character to innovate and literally make the product better through empirically actually building it. Because you can't learn by yes, I'm going to give you 4 steps, right? But if you don't do anything after this video, it won't work. Same with product and fulfillment or service delivery. You can watch a video on it, but if you don't actually build it yourself, let's say you're selling, I don't know, AI appointment setters, if you don't build it yourself, then you're never going to know how to do it. Yes, you can watch videos, but nothing is, it's hard to explain, but you'll learn 10 times quicker if you actually do it. So The bad news is that you don't have skills and your belief system is very inaccurate when you're starting. Like when I started, I sent 50 DMs a day and I was wondering why I couldn't sign clients. Like I was literally doing 50 DMs a day. Like what on earth was I doing for the other 7 hours of the day? I was watching YouTube. I was doing things that weren't moving the needle in my business. And I want you to remove everything that isn't appointment setting and sales, but let's get into this now. So these 4 things, obviously you need to know who you're helping. So, and I promise you the video is going to get a lot more technical and a lot more, just interesting and exciting in a second, but I need to just get these 4 things out of the way. Unless you're, I mean, you can probably skip to this. If you already have a niche and you already have an offer and you understand sales and fulfillment, then you can skip this to the timestamp. I'll put timestamps so you can skip to whatever timestamp you want. But first of all, you need to know who you're helping, which is niche selection. And there's 2 questions you need to ask yourself. Who would you love to work with? And this goes back to your why. He who has a why can achieve anything. Now, an example of this was when I started, I had no idea what niche to go into. And the way I thought about it was I liked going to the gym and I wanted to create impact. I wanted to help people. And I went with fitness coaches. And because it's important I teach you my thought process, because most people on YouTube, they just give you like a copy and paste script that never works. I actually want to teach you why I went into the niche I went into when I started like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And why I went into fitness coaches was I knew that if I could get them customers and them clients, that would be an overall better thing for the world, because they would get their clients fit and healthy. Because they're healthy, that would change their life. So I knew that it was just a general good thing for the world. And the second thing you need to ask yourself is, do you have any experience in that industry? Now, this one comes second. Now, the reason this is not as important as the first one is because this one, you can learn. You can gain experience. Whereas this one, if you don't like the people you're working with, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to have a good time running an agency. So, or just a business in general. You need to actually like who you're working with. And the experience can come after, but it does help if you understand your niche, because everything goes back to understanding your niche. Because like, let's say I give you the exact same offer, the exact same content system, the exact same outreach scripts as I use, you wouldn't be able to hit the numbers I use for coaches because you don't have the underlying factor, which is my experience. So hopefully that makes sense. And you need to go a level deeper when it comes to niche selection. I want you to envision what they look like. So this is basically creating an avatar, and the clearer you can see who you want to help, the more likely it is you're going to come across them. So think about their age, think about their character traits, and just list them below on a piece of paper, or maybe get a Google Doc as you're watching this and just list out who you want to help. And this is really important. So for example, I don't want anyone that will micromanage me. For example, I've had clients in the past where they make sure I'm doing the work every day, and I just hate that. I don't like being micromanaged. So that is one characteristic trait. I want my client to be easy to work with, have good communication, have solid foundations, and ideally some lead flow so we can convert that leads into appointments and clients and make my life easier. And I want them to be able to build a relationship with me. I want them to have a great service and help their clients. I want them to be 20 to 30 years old, but once again, that isn't as important, and an online coach. Like, this is what I want you to list out, and it's really important. So I'll probably just circle this in red of what you need to do. So yeah, go a level deeper, think about your avatar, and if you can do that, it's going to help you. So that goes niche selection and how to pick who you want to help. Now you need to create an offer that is molded towards their problems. Most people create an offer and that they become emotional. They create an offer that they want. Like when I started, I went onto YouTube, I reasoned by analogy, which I'll explain in a second, and I just copied and pasted an offer I saw on YouTube and then tried to sell it to coaches and failed for 6 months miserably because I didn't think for myself and I didn't provide an offer or service that the market wants, but rather what I wanted, which is terrible. You always want to mold your offer towards the actual problems your niche has. So yeah, very important. And another question to ask yourself is it inimitable? And inimitable is hard to replicate. The harder it is to deliver your service, the easier it is to get clients. Another example, the harder it is to get leads, the easier it is to book appointments. And the reason for that is obviously if it's harder to get leads, then not many people are going to put in that effort, and then you'll get leads who haven't been messaged before. Or let's say the harder your day is today, the easier your future is going to be. So everything is just delaying gratification, and making an offer inimitable is really important. So an example of a really easy offer would be copywriting. Now, if I go onto my phone, right, I'm not sure if I'll have time to do this, but I'm just going to quickly show you my DMs. I get, and this is another reason why you should probably listen to me, I get so many DMs, so I can see where the demand is. So you can see that I get like a lot of DMs every single day from people trying to pitch me stuff, right? And a lot of them are copywriters, a lot of them are video editors, and they're all just very easy services to provide, which makes it harder to get clients. So you want to pick your one, but I personally would create a harder offer. So an example would be like running some type of traffic. It could be ads, it could be content, it could be a database reactivation, including an AI setter. So you're solving a problem that comes from the good part of working with you. So for example, if you're great at content, then that's obviously going to drive traffic for your clients, and then that traffic needs to be converted. So then if you place an AI setter, hopefully you understand, we're making it like there's multiple mechanisms within our offer which makes it more inimitable. Like you can't go to the Apple store and say, oh no, I don't want to buy an iPhone, I'm going to go home and build one in my basement or something. Like it's just impossible. You can't say that. Like they've created a product so goddamn good that you just have to buy it and experience it, and that is just Steve Jobs for you. So that's really important. Don't reason by analogy. This is like the easiest way to fail. Same with your outbound, same with content systems, same with what anyone tells you anywhere. Just don't copy and paste like a monkey, please. And the reason I know like a lot of you do this is because I did this, and that's why I failed for so long. So you want to do first principles thinking, which is basically boiling it down to the core truths. Now, it's a great exercise to do, and you can do this right now. Let's say we do first principles thinking. Let me put this here. So first principles for, let's just say, appointment setting. So essentially first principles is, boiling it down to its core truths. So what is true about appointment setting? We can say that it's a prospect. If I can actually spell, I've completely butchered that. Let's say a prospect agrees to book a meeting. Agrees. Let's just put prospect agrees to get on meeting. That is true about appointment setting, right? You can't disagree with me. It's fundamentally correct. That is what an appointment is. Someone agreeing to get on a meeting. Now, if we go deeper, how do we get them to agree to get on a meeting? You need to resonate with them. Now, resonate is basically saying to your group of people, look, I know you've got this problem, here's a solution. And if that resonates with them and they've got low action threshold, a low action threshold is essentially every human has a different action threshold. And that is the percentage or the likelihood of you doing something. So a low action threshold means that you're easily persuaded into doing something. And a high action threshold means you don't really do much action. That's as simple as it gets. So assuming you don't raise their sales resistance and you're not sending them a message they've seen 1,000 times before, if you resonate with them, that is one step down. If we go another layer down, how do we resonate? Once again, like what I just said, you go to your niche, you say, look, I know you've got this problem, here's a solution. And then if you go a layer down, how do we resonate? We need to understand the niche. Niche selection. Oh no, not niche selection, just niche understanding. So you see what we're doing? We're boiling it down to the absolute bottom, and then we know what to focus on. So how do we understand our niche? We talk to them. So talk to them. Reach out to them. And boom, now you've got the thing that you need to do. Talk to your niche. And if you can talk to your customers, like what I said earlier about that quote, anything can be solved by talking to your customers. And that is first principles. It's a problem-solving exercise that can boil it down to the core truth, basically, of what you need to do. So most people, like, they start an agency and then they are wondering, like, should you do, I don't know, cold calls? Should you do Instagram DMs? Should you do content? Should you do ads? Just do it. Like, the only way to find out is to get data and then make a logical decision. Whereas if you're a beginner, first of all, like, your viewpoint is going to be completely messed up. So you'll probably just do the wrong thing. So you need to just do them, get data back, and then be like, okay, cool, ads was working, let me go more into ads. And that is how you make decisions. So don't just be that guy that, or the girl that just has like analysis paralysis and just doesn't do anything. Like, in order to become great at something, you have to suck initially. Like, there's no ways around it. Like, did you think that I was just like spawned into this world being able to talk for like, this video will be like 45 minutes probably. Like, do you think I was just born with that? No. I mean, some people are more yeah, more tailored to be able to do that, but I wasn't. I'm naturally introverted. However, I've posted like over 100 videos on this channel. So the first 25 barely got any views. I kept posting 50 videos, 75 videos, and that's allowed me to build up the skill set in which I can then communicate to you guys and provide value. Whereas if I didn't make that first 25 videos and I just stuck watching YouTube videos, I wouldn't be where I am today. So you have to suck to get better. Very simple. So don't just like sit around doing nothing. Just start talking to your niche. Start reaching out to them. And you'll get data back, and then you can make better decisions about what works and what doesn't work. So it's a complete win-learn situation. If you reach out to 1,000 people in your niche and you don't book meetings, cool. That's not a negative. You would have learned something. And then you can tailor the next 1,000 to make it a bit better. And if you keep doing that and you keep reiterating, you're going to do very well for yourself. So the third thing you need, so we've done 1, we've done 2. Now the third thing you need is understanding sales. You need to understand persuasion. You need to understand the psyche of your ICP. ICP is ideal client profile. So that links to what we said down here. You should have built an avatar, and that avatar is your ICP, your ideal client profile, who you would love to work with, basically. And what you need to do now is understand the psyche. The psyche is their brain. So you need to think from their brain, basically. And if you can do that, and I'm going to show you how you do that in a second, you'll be able to book more meetings than you can deal with. And if you understand sales, you'll know how to convert those meetings. However, once again, the only way to get good at sales is by doing sales. There's no two ways around it. Like what Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. You can watch as many sales videos as you want, but I guarantee your first 50 sales calls will be absolutely shit. That's just how it is. I've had to go through that. Everyone has to go through that. But since then, I've probably taken like 1,500 sales calls. So that is how I've gotten to this stage. So have you studied Carl Jung? Have you studied Robert Greene? Have you studied Darwin? Have you studied people who, like, instead of listening, honestly, like after this video, I would prefer you to not listen to me, not listen to anyone on YouTube, and just go straight to the like absolute source of human nature and psychology. And I'll talk about Sigmund Freud in a second, but honestly, like, that is what you need to understand. And you need to be able to communicate. But like, do you know the 25 cognitive biases right now? Do you understand psyche-based client acquisition? Probably not. Because your skill set just isn't developed enough to be able to get to this point here. Which, by the way, is not a lot of money. Like, you'll get to this point and you'll be like, okay, this honestly is not as good as I thought it would feel like. But that's the story for another day. So, yeah, learn the 25 cognitive biases. Understand the mere exposure effect. Understand the IKEA effect. Understand all these different effects that make humans do what they do. Read David M. Buss' Evolutionary, I think, Psychology. It's an amazing book. It basically explains why humans do what you do every single day? Why do you eat that donut over the salad? I'll tell you why. It's because back in, when our ancestors were alive, they needed quick energy. Resources were scarce. So of course they're going to think short term and take the donut. But that has molded us into what we are today, genetically. So we need to avoid our evolutionary instincts and make long-term plays now. But that's very hard to do because of our ancestors. So my just understanding of this is just more aligned with what's true than yours is, basically. So yeah, you can't just like skip to having amazing resources in life. You need to understand these things and you need to do the boring things. But the good news is most people won't do these boring things, so it's quite easy to win nowadays because most people are just lazy. So that's really important. After this video, make sure you learn the 25 cognitive biases. For example, the mirror exposure effect states that humans like what are familiar to them. So when you walk into a store, you probably buy the same things over and over again. Likewise, when you go to Starbucks, you probably have a similar coffee every single time because you like what's familiar to you. So if I were thinking from this on a client acquisition premise of getting clients, I would position myself as them basically, or as a friend of them. So if I was reaching out to real estate agents, you can use their terminology. You can use their language in your outbound. And if you do that and in your inbound, and you understand like the terminology, you resonate with them indirectly as well. So let's say you send them a message saying, I don't know, something about, do you do commercial or do you do commercial real estate or whatever? You use their language. They then click on your profile and they see that you've been to real estate networking events. You're going to resonate with them. So you need to position yourself as one of them basically. And that's just like one of 25 cognitive biases. So you can see how quickly this can add up. If you understand all 25, you'll be like, holy shit, this is just how humans operate. And if you can understand the brain of the person you're trying to get money from, it's insanely easy to win. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, now let's go to fulfillment, which is number 4. And bear in mind, this is just stage 1. I've got 4 stages in this video and you can see how valuable this is getting. So solid fulfillment. In my opinion, right, this is the easiest part, but it's also the scariest part, because if you aren't confident in your fulfillment, that's going to affect reaching out to people. Because if you think about this, if you knew your service or what you're selling would change someone's life and it would improve their business, and by improving their business, you'd make them more money. By making them more money, you would help their family. If you truly knew that, you'd be shouting your offer from the rooftops. You would be pushing it on as many people. You would not have a problem reaching out to 1,000 people a day if you actually knew that what you were selling would change their life. So there's a catch to that though, because the only way you can get good at fulfillment, service delivery, is by empirical knowledge, which is doing it. So you basically just need to screw your instincts, get a client or two, and rely on your character. So I want you to make a promise with yourself right now watching this. I want you to promise that when you get a client, you are going to give it your absolute all to deliver amazing results. If you have to not sleep for a day or 2 days out of the week to deliver great results, then that's a promise you need to make to yourself. Because when you're starting out, as explained here, you don't have the skills. You don't have the self-image of someone making this money. So you're fundamentally lacking. So what you need to rely on is your character. You need to rely on yourself to be a good person and tell yourself, look, when I get a client, I'm going to try my absolute best. And that's all you can really do. And if you do that, trust me, you'll learn ridiculously quick. Like if I give you right now £1,000 or $1,000 and I tell you, look, learn copywriting and write some emails for me, you would learn bloody quick because I've given you money. Like there's pressure on you to learn this shit. So that is why I'm not a huge fan of free trials, because there's no skin in the game for yourself or the client. And what I mean by that is, if I told you to write those same emails but didn't pay you, you would not do as good of a job, which means that results wouldn't be as good, which means that your then confidence and self-esteem would go lower. So I recommend charging a small setup fee if it's your first client, $250, $500, just to put your back up against the wall and learn 10 times quicker and rely on your character more. So those are essentially the foundations. This is just the foundations of what you need in order to like physically being able to make $10,000 per month. And a massive one, by the way, is self-image. Like, this is one I didn't cover, but like, you need to always, so imagine it's quite easy day to day to be quite emotionally wrapped up looking at your screen. So what you need to do is you need to picture yourself from a third eye point of view. Imagine you're like a bird looking. Imagine you're just like, okay, imagine you're a fly on the ceiling looking down at you on your laptop or your PC or whatever you work on. And that is from the position you need to come from, because it's quite easy just to like get so involved day to day looking at your screen that you never take a step back and look at yourself. So that's why people invest in coaches, because for example, having a coach is like someone looking at your golf swing. Like when you're swinging a when you're swinging it like a golf club, you can't see the swing. Whereas if you get a coach, they can look at it from a different perspective and see how the swing is moving. Is it straight? Are you standing in the right position? So that is the perspective you need to look at when you're building an agency. Really important. Just every day try to make decisions based on your future self who is already making this money. And this is sort of a law that you can learn. It's called the law of assumption. There's a few laws. I'll probably make another video in the future about this, but the law of assumption is basically thinking you've already achieved it, and if you do that, then there's no other choice than to achieve it. So Bob Proctor, I think is how you say it, he basically said that you've got the physical here, and the physical is reality. So this is what you're experiencing right now. You've got the I think unconscious, you've got the subconscious in your brain. I'll try and explain this quickly. And then up here, you've got the 5 senses. So touch, sight, smell, all that good stuff. We put 5 senses. So how it works is, this is also known as your environment. So let me just put environment here. So the environment you're in is either going to kill you or make you grow. And a good study of this was, if you put like binaural beats, so if you go on Spotify after this and search for binaural beats, it's essentially a certain frequency of music, and I listen to it all the time, and it's like, there's been so many studies on this that it can actually increase the rate of growth in plants. So if you put this type of music in a room with a plant, it would make it grow quicker. Sounds absurd, sounds complete bullshit, but it's actually true. It's funny. And if you were to put rock music, heavy, like loud, chaotic rock music into a room with a plant, it would kill the plant. And that's also been proven. So the thing you surround yourself with is what you become, because that goes into your subconscious. And if it goes into your subconscious enough times, it's going to go into your unconscious, and then it will go into your physical. So that's why, like for example, your parents, how they bring you up, will make you what you are, basically. So this is a really like cool thing you need to understand. And yeah, like some people just like absolutely have like just, yeah, I mean, I can't bother to explain this because this is like a topic for another day. But basically that's why the people you spend the time with equal what you become. Because if you hang around people who think they're lucky and they are lucky and they've got good energy, then you'll have good energy, because they will, like, if you're around them for a long enough period of time, you'll subconsciously be that, and then you'll unconsciously be that, and if you're unconsciously that, then that'll go into your reality. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, or maybe a bit of sense. And that is essentially a different law. This is like the law of vibration, which is a precursor to the law of attraction. So if we go law of vibration, so you probably heard about the law of attraction before, which is basically like you attract. Yeah, I'm sure you know what the law of attraction is, but that's not really a law. The real law is the law of vibration, which then equals the law of attraction. And let me put this on. I've gone off topic a bit, but I just want to give you guys some more value. So how this works is, everything in the world is moving, and everything right now is at a certain frequency, and a frequency is a state of vibration. So think about it. Everything is vibrating, just on the earth. Everything's moving on the world we're in, basically. So it states that if everything is on a vibration, then Einstein said this, so this isn't like philosophy. I'm not assuming this is how the world works. This is how the world works. This is physics. So you can argue with Einstein if you don't believe this, but he stated that if you can match the frequency with the reality you want, then there's no other choice than to achieve it. So if you think about it, everything you want, let's say like a house, that is a horrible house, but let's just say like a house, you want a house, I don't know, a mansion or whatever. This is a horrible drawing. I can't be bothered. But that is the worst drawing of a house I've ever seen. But you're here. If you can match the frequency that's on, then you'll achieve it. Very simple. And that's why you're more likely to attract people who are the same to you. So imagine you've got my phone. It's easy to be on the same frequency as me because you could easily just send me a text message or phone me, and I'll likelihood see it. So yeah, the real question we should be asking ourselves is, how can we raise our vibration? Because the energy within humans is worth about $85 billion. So the actual hydrogen atoms that are within you are the equivalent to $85 billion. Whereas before, like the atomic age, it was like $34. So yeah, we're getting a lot better with science and how this works. But yeah, essentially raise your vibration. You do that by looking at things that inspire you. So that links to the law of assumption, because if you can envision you've already made $10,000 per month, then it will go into your subconscious, and then if you keep drilling it in, it will go into your unconscious and then physical, which is your reality. So you've also got walking in nature, you've got listening to binaural beats, high frequency, you've got exercise that you like doing. There's so many ways to increase your vibration, but I didn't want to make this a video solely on that. So now let's actually go to stage 2. So that was just stage 1, which is crazy. But now let's go to stage 2, which is building. Now, what we're going to be building is a funnel. Richard Brunson said that Russell Brunson said that, I can't speak, I'm getting tired now. Russell Brunson said that you're one funnel away from making $1 million. Now, how do you build a funnel? I'm going to explain right now. So you've got top of funnel. Top of the funnel is how your prospects come across you. How do they find you? How are you generating traffic? Now, middle of the funnel is where they know, like, and trust you. So you're nurturing them. This can be done in long form content assets or another form of assets. And then bottom of the funnel is how they convert. So to make this simple, top of the funnel, most people are going to be unaware. So they're unaware they need your service, or they're going to be problem aware. And this means that they understand they have a problem, but they don't know about your solution. So people are either going to be problem aware, I'll put problem aware, unaware or problem aware at this stage of the funnel, which is when they find out about you. So it could be you sending a message to them. That's how they find out about you. It could, an example would be you watching this video right now is how you may have come across me if this is your first time seeing me. So this is the top of the funnel, how people find you. You've got middle of the funnel. At this stage, usually they are solution aware. So this means that they understand they need a solution. So they're probably in a bit of pain. And down in between here, you've got brand aware, which means that they know about your brand. And you've also got fully aware, which is here. And fully aware means they understand they've got a problem, they understand you've got a solution, and they want to buy it because they've been nurtured. So that is how a basic funnel is done. You've got 3 stages: top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Top of funnel, just to recap, is how people come across you, how they find you. Middle of the funnel is how they know, like, and trust you, so how they get nurtured and how they gain trust. And then the bottom of the funnel is how they convert, so a set score. Hopefully that makes sense. Now you need to build your own funnel, and it's really important you just understand this, because otherwise you're going to be running around like a headless chicken every single day. So you've basically got the thing that I would recommend, which is having an inbound and an outbound system. So most people on YouTube, they tell you to do something that isn't YouTube, which is really annoying and frustrating, because I think YouTube is one of the best ways to educate your niche. And I think if you're not educating people nowadays, it's very hard to make money. And I'm going to explain how you do this in a second. But I would personally link an outbound system with an inbound system. And how that works is it sort of acts as like asymmetrical leverage. And what I mean by that is the more outbound you do, the more traction your inbound will get. Or the more inbound you do, the better your outbound will perform. So they go hand in hand. The better you can dial one in, the easier it is to dial the other one in. And what I mean by that is, let's say I do outbound, and let's say on my Instagram, I follow 150 coaches a day. As an example, let's say your niche is real estate. Let's say you follow 150 real estate agents or agencies per day. That is going to bring about 10 to 20% to your page, in which they may get nurtured by your content. So they go hand in hand, and that's really important to understand. And that's why you need to reach out to clients, but also create content, which is more important than ever, because as the economy gets worse and as the average get poor and the rich get wealthier, the more people are going to be unable to afford rent. More people are going to be unable to feed their kids. And when that happens, they're going to be looking for answers. So where are they going to look for answers? YouTube, TikTok. They're not going to be watching like bullshit like streamers or like entertainment anymore. They're going to want to be making money. And if you can pop up and you can be the authority and position yourself in the market as an expert and the go-to person, then you can see how you're basically just positioning yourself to guarantee a lot of money. So that's really important. And they feed off each other. So let's just say you're targeting like, and to be honest, how you build your outbound and inbound system is you want to know where your niche hangs out. So ask yourself where. So by doing that, you want to go back to what we did here. 20 to 30 year olds. Where do 20 and 30 year olds hang out? Instagram, TikTok. That is where you would target. Whereas if you're working with, let's say, 60 year olds, or even just 50, or even 40, to be honest, then Facebook. That's just where they spend the most time. So that is a big thing to think about when it comes to how to build an inbound and outbound client acquisition system. So yeah, I can't just tell you, I would love to be able to tell you, do this with this script and you'll make money. But if I did that, it just wouldn't work, because everyone's in a different position, which is why I personally don't like courses. I think courses are good for teaching you static principles, and static principles are things that don't change within time. So no matter how far in the future you're watching this, it will still like work basically. And that's what I try to do on my channel. Or I mean, I know I have technical and more advanced videos for like strategy, but on my channel, which is great, I think a good combination of both, which is what I try and do. But strategies do come and go like the wind, or like different seasons in the year. So one strategy could work right now in like April, and then next month it may not work. So it's good to have an understanding of static principles, but everyone is different. So that's why I can't just tell you to do something. And if anyone tells you to do this and it will work, they're just lying, because there's no way that they know your position. They don't know your skill sets. They don't know your current beliefs and your mindset and where you're at emotionally. Like, it's just impossible, which is why I'm a big fan of like coaching rather than buying courses. So that is really important. And hopefully that makes sense. And you basically just want to have, outbound and inbound. So for example, 125 DMs a day and then one content per day. But you can make this whatever you want. And then for the middle of the funnel, I recommend having content assets for whatever niche you're in, because it doesn't have to get views. The whole point of the middle of the funnel, which is here, let's put middle, is for nurturing. Nurturing is building trust within your prospects. So we do that by getting them to think of us as an authority, as an expert. How do we do that? We create content. We show system proof. System proof Let me go here. System proof is basically showing your prospects that you've thought through your service. So an example of this is, let's say I put this video and I put it into my post-booking workflow. So let's say you book a call with me, and after the meeting, I would have content assets. No, sorry. After you schedule, before the meeting, I would have content assets leading up to the meeting to just show you this. And if I can just like show you this, you're going to think of me as an authority. So you want to show system proof, you want to have content assets. And when you're starting out, you want to shift your mindset, because you're not going to be able to get content to the top of the funnel. It's unlikely you're going to be able to do that. So you want to have the mindset of, this is just for lead nurture. Don't look at the views, because you're creating content just for nurturing, and you can send them these content assets in the DMs. You can use this as a follow-up. So let's say you reach out to people up here and they don't respond. You can be like, hey, I've made this completely free 30-minute video that I think you'll like on how, I don't know, roofing companies can increase qualified leads. I don't know. But that is a really good way of just showing your authority in a market. So I personally recommend going for volume. Nowadays, it's more raw content that does well compared to like highly edited ones. So that's why I keep my content raw, as well as I just like people watching my stuff who don't need to be constantly entertained. So yeah, if you're watching this, shout out you, because you probably have a good attention span. So you can also do weekly newsletters. Dan Coe, he's a guy in the space, making like $6 million a year. Great guy. He basically has a pretty cool content system where I think he does a weekly newsletter. So he spends about 2 hours a week, just 2 hours a week, building a newsletter, which is 1,000 words. And then he takes that 1,000 words, he sends it to his email list. And after he sends it to his email list, he basically then turns that 1,000 words into tweets. So you can get about 30 to 50 tweets from those 1,000 words. He then posts that onto Twitter or X, and then he uses that post to Instagram as a carousel, and then he uses the Twitter things as like titles, so ideation for content. So then he posts for content, and then he's got even more content for shorts. So that's an idea of a content system. And there's levels to this game. Like, it's kind of, if you're watching this, you don't know what you don't know. It gets very, very technical, which is what I love. Like, I love all that kind of stuff. So I suggest you love it as well. And if you can love what you do every day, you'll go a lot further than the person who doesn't love. It's like that saying of the person who likes walking will walk a lot longer and further than the person who just wants to walk to get what they want, basically. So yeah, that is the middle of the funnel. And then the bottom of the funnel is probably a sales call if you're starting out. So I recommend everyone selling done for you if you're starting out. The reason for that is a done with you service is like coaching or consulting, which is what I've pivoted into mainly. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now if I didn't run an agency prior, because I wouldn't have the knowledge. So you kind of need to make like 6 figures or a decent amount, 10K a month, 20K a month, in order to have skill sets to then be able to teach. So that's really important. You can also document your journey throughout the done for you. That's one thing. So then it'll make this part easier down the road. People like Eman, yeah, loads of people document their journeys. Highly recommend doing it. You can post daily on YouTube. Just, I don't know, if you have to, and it's kind of like 2-dimensional like thinking, or just getting the most like leverage. Like, let's say you have to do cold calls, you may as well record those cold calls on your phone and then post it to YouTube. I've seen people do that and get like hundreds of thousands of views. So it's about, yeah, making the most of your time. And that goes back to like the self-image thing of like thinking from the perspective like you've already achieved the money and how you would spend your time. Like, you probably wouldn't be sending Instagram DMs manually if you were making 10K a month. So you need to not do that, otherwise you won't do that. So yeah, done for you means that you'll probably take a sales call, because done for you services are usually a few thousand. Or when you're starting out, even if it's above like 1,000, you would probably hop on a call. You'll gain experience. So that is how you would convert people. However, when you transition into a done with you, if you're selling a low ticket, then you don't need to hop on sales calls. If you're what's it called? yeah, you would just sell that through like emails or through SMS or something like that. So yeah, you would have sales calls at the bottom of your funnel if you're starting out, which you probably are watching this. So that basically covers the funnel. And then what you want to do is you want to execute on this. So don't just build a funnel and then not do anything. I mean, after this video or right now, you can have your top of the funnel. So you need to write that out, middle of the funnel, and then bottom of the funnel. But then you also need to track this. So you need to execute on this. And I'll give you some resources for that at the end of the video. So keep watching. But right now that leads me into the next point of now you should have built this out. So right now or after this video, build your funnel out so you understand what you're doing every day. And then you need urgent intensity. Elon Musk said psychological safety is the nightmare. Urgent intensity is what we're looking for. Now, what he means by that is safety, being comfortable is the enemy. That's the nightmare. What we want is urgent intensity. And Sigmund Freud had this concept of the 3 levels of consciousness. So right now, imagine you've got like your head and you've got your brain. This is essentially what goes on in your brain. You've got the id, the ID, which is seeking pleasure. It's that thing that when you're trying to do something and then it feels like you get an urge to like go on YouTube, or you get an urge to eat that junk food, or I don't know, watch some degenerate things on YouTube, or I think I said that, or just TikTok or something, or yeah, doing things you shouldn't be doing, and you get that urge. That is your id. That is the left part of your brain. I mean, if you look at it, this part, it's the right part, but imagine you've just got on the left shoulder, you've got like the id, and then on the right shoulder, you've got the superego, which is the complete opposite of this. So this one is just like pleasure. So you've got pleasure, you've got instant gratification, basically. Instant gratification. Which is, yeah, just wanting it now. And like I said, if it's easy now, it's going to make your life harder in the future. So this is why you get urges. It's this part of your brain, as Freud. And yeah, so the superego is the opposite. So this is like the sensible part of the brain, basically. And this is, by the way, unconscious, according to Freud. So unconscious. And this sort of links to like trauma, like childhood trauma. That's what he believes as well. But once again, not everything he said was accurate. But this, yeah, sensible, superego, we've got like, it's more long term. It wants you to do the right thing. And then in the middle, you've got the ego, which is the thing that that is the ego is what makes the decision. So it weighs up the pros of this one, weighs up the pros of this one and the cons, and it decides, is it going to go towards the superego and do the right thing? Are you not going to go on YouTube and you're going to do the work instead? Or are you going to go on YouTube and do that? So if you're procrastinating, it's because this part, the id, is taking over, essentially. And that probably leaves you with a question right now, being like, okay, it's interesting to understand this, but how do I get the ego to go towards the superego? And in my opinion, it purely comes down to putting your back up against the wall and not having a plan B. And let me explain, right? So an example of this is, let's say the id, this part. Okay, so let's say you have to, let's say before this video, I didn't really want to make this YouTube video. So imagine you've got the id saying, Charlie, you don't have to make this YouTube video. You've already got thousands of subscribers. You make decent money. You don't need to do this. It's just not important. That's the destructive id part of my brain telling me I don't need to do it and I should just watch YouTube instead or watch Netflix. And then you've got the superego is saying, Charlie, you need to make this video. You need to keep the momentum going. You can't give up now. You've come so far. You could be the best. And the ego is in the middle. And what is going to get it to go towards the superego here, is when there's like no other choice than to go for this one. And it's really hard to explain, but like you take action. So And I'm going to try and do this here. So imagine you've got like here, and you've got like your current situation is here. And imagine you've got like action here. So you've got your situation and you've got action. When the pain of being where you are right now exceeds the action threshold, that is when you do the superego. You do the right thing. However, if you're comfortable down here, then you're not exceeding the action threshold line. So you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable environment, and that is one way to 10x the learning curve or just success. Like, I guarantee you, if you moved to a different country, like let's say you've got like a few $100s in your bank account, if you moved to a different country, like it would be like extremely scary. But that also means that you wouldn't gravitate towards this. You would do what's right because you've got no other choice than to survive, which is doing the superego. And that is how I believe that we can get ourselves to do the superego, and it's to put ourselves in uncomfortable environments. And that sort of links back to this part here of your environment is a massive dictator of your reality. So hopefully you find that interesting. We're getting into the source now. So I'm giving you guys, I promise I'll give you the source, and I'm giving it to you. So a famous quote is, if it's scary but exciting at the same time, you should probably do it. As Hormozy says, you're not going to wish you get to 80 years old and wish you had fewer, cooler stories to tell to your grandkids. So if it seems scary but it's exciting, like moving country. For example, I had one of my team members said, Charlie, like, should I go to like Spain? And I said yes. Like, and my thought process behind that is uncomfortable situation, out of his environment, going to learn 10 times quicker, and yeah, like it's a cool story. It's a complete win-learn situation. I mean, even if I don't know, let's say when I was starting out and I wasn't making anything, if I moved to Bali and like lived like I was already living 10k a month, I would have got there a lot quicker. So that is really important, but most people are too scared to do that, and that's why most people are literally staying in the same place for 40 years. So don't wait until you make X amount to be happy, because if you really think about it, you're right here and you want to get to up here, and you've got a line, and let's say it takes like, I mean, most of our lives are going to be in the journey stage, which is not being where we want to be. So imagine this is like making millions or billions or however much you want to make, and you've got here now where you're just kind of like, yeah, I want to get here. Why are you going to be like sad here when most of our life is in the journey phase? Like, don't wait until don't wait to be happy. I think when I started, like, I used to tell myself I'll be happy once I make X amount per month. But most of our life is in the journey. It's in the process. It's in the day-to-day building of ourselves and our characters to get to the point where we're doing this. So why are we going to wait until... it doesn't make sense. Be happy now. Turn that sad face into a smiley face, and be grateful that you can go to the gym. Be grateful that you can work and improve your life and change your character and make more money. Like, yeah, be happy now. That's really important. So that is basically stage 3, which is urgent intensity. Now you should have the foundations. You should have built your funnel so you understand what you're doing day to day. For example, have an outbound and inbound, have content assets 4 times a week. And once again, these are all very static, but I just want to give you like what I would do. And then urgent intensity is executing. Most people, they don't have an info problem. You've probably got the information, you just aren't executing. There's thousands of videos online, but that is the problem. There's 1,000 people telling you to do 1,000 different things, and you're going to be confused 1,000 different ways. So I highly suggest you just stop watching YouTube after this video. And you'll probably be thinking, Charlie, I won't be able to learn. No, you learn by doing. You learn by empirically taking action. So yeah, you don't need information, you need to execute. If you can execute, you'll be massively ahead. Most people just don't execute, and that's why they fail. So you don't have an information problem, you've got an execution problem. You need better systems to be able to put in the inputs day to day to create the outputs, which is 10K a month. So stage 4 is going to be feedback and lag indicators and lead indicators. So lead indicators are the predictors of future success, and lag indicators are the actual like 10K a month. So if you don't execute, you won't get lead indicators. So lead indicators allow us to make better decisions. And that's why you need to track your metrics. So after you do these 3 things here, you're going to take action like vigorously. You're going to do as much throughput. If you think about like a system, let's just look at a very simple system. You've got an input, you've got output, and you've got like latency, or let's just do let's do latency, which is the time in between. So let's say you send a cold email. That cold email with enough time is going to get an output. An output can be positive or negative, but most people just don't do enough inputs to be able to get enough data to be able to then change the input to make it better. And you just have to constantly keep adapting and changing, being like a scientist in a lab, trying to find out what works. And then as soon as you find out what works, then you'll be like, honestly, just finding a proof of concept, like a way to build meetings, will put you like halfway across the bridge. It's just about getting that initial momentum and overcoming self-doubt. So yeah, latency is the time. So what happens is like, this can also be described as like this. If we've got like a box here, imagine you've got like cause. So everything in life, another law of the universe is the cause and effect. You probably know what a cause and effect is, but maybe you haven't thought about this. So if I can actually spell. So for every cause, so as Isaac Newton says, for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. If you do something today, there has to be something that comes out of it. If you go to the gym, there'll be an outcome. If you send, or let's say you create one piece of content, something is going to happen from that content. It could be 1 view, it could be 100 views, it could be 1 million views. I don't know. But the problem is there's this massive thing like this. And up here with the cause, you've got memory. So you've got memory where the cause is. And imagine this is time. So imagine you've got like, let's say this is like today. If I can spell. And let's say this is like 12 months. So the action today, let's say you're doing cold calls, is very painful. You've got a vivid memory of it. It's painful as you're doing it. It's not easy. And that is what you remember, which is today's action. And then what happens is time goes on. You haven't seen any results from those cold calls. A month goes on. 2 months goes on. 3 months goes on. 4. Let's just say this is like 5, 6, 7. Let's just say 8, 9, 10, 11. Then you've got 12. What happens is you're not going to see any results all the way until you get to about here. Whereas most people, they give up here, or they give up here, because they don't understand that latency is the thing that is in between the input and the output. So this is honestly a lot longer than most people expect. So the work I'm doing now, this video here, will pay dividends and I'll reap the rewards in like 2 years probably. But people don't understand that, whereas I do, and you should now. So the work you're doing today as an entrepreneur will give you effects in like 12 months or 2 years or even 5 years. So that's really important, and that's why you shouldn't just like give up and switch business model. Whereas most people, they do a business model, they don't make money for like 4 or 5 months, then they switch to a new business model, and they're constantly in this like feedback loop of switching, and they just keep doing this, and then they realize, well, they can never make money. And I had the same thing. I've done drop shipping, I've done affiliate marketing, I've done trading, I've tried every online business under the sun, whereas the agency I stuck at for more than 6 months, and the rest is history. So that's really important. Understand latency, understand cause, effect, and also memory. And then also understand being happy in the journey. So we're almost at the end now. I want to explain how to track metrics. So for like content, because I had a question, one guy in my school community said like, Charlie, how do I track content? Like metrics. And lucky enough, like things like YouTube, like I can go into my data analytics onto the back end. I can see the country that views my videos the most. I can see the age. I've got all the metrics for that. So you don't really need to track metrics for content that much. It's mainly like outbound systems. So for example, let's say like my SDR, which is a sales development rep. We basically track like dials. So how many calls. So for example, Vlad did 20, Jack did 20, pickups 10, so 50% pickup rate, replies 6, art question 4, pitched low ticket, and then like 2 bought, and then follow-ups 15. So this allows us to track each stage of the thing, and it allows us to boil it down to be able to identify bottlenecks. So going back to like the bridge, along this way, you're going to get bottlenecks. And that is where a part of your system gets jammed. So if we go here, or we just look at like a regular, like for example, you've got a pipeline. So for those that are beginners, a pipeline is basically like the customer journey from, let's say you just see me today, from you seeing me to buying my thing, that is the pipeline. So what happens is, it's not just like constant flow through the pipeline with no problems. What's going to happen is it's going to look a lot more like this. It will look a lot more like this. So imagine you've got like stranger here who hasn't seen me before, and then you got people who are buying. And there's going to be like a block here. Whereas if we fix this bottleneck, maybe instead of going like very few people buying here, if we can open this up a bit and solve the bottleneck like this, you can see how we can fit more people here basically. Hopefully that makes sense about bottlenecks. It's basically when a part of your system just becomes jammed. So for example, let's say you're, I don't know, calling people, or you've got like an AI cold caller doing the calls for you. It could be your pickup rate maybe is like bad. So then that's the bottleneck. But tracking this allows us to actually see what the problems are. Whereas most people, they never track any metrics. And that is the equivalent to you being in like imagine you're in a completely dark room right now. There's like no lights, there's nothing. It's just pitch black. And somewhere in that room is a key. And that key will allow you to unlock the door to get out. If you don't track any metrics, it's the equivalent to trying to find that key in that pitch black room. Borderline impossible. It's like finding, what's it called? I can't remember the saying, but it's very hard to do. Whereas if you track each individual part of your appointment setting system, you'll be able to have like a spotlight or a torch and be able to look around the room to find the thing that is going to get you out of the room, which is the key. So 20 dials, 10 pickup, the pickup rate's 50%. And you can have ideal metrics. Ideal metrics is like, before you actually do any of this, you want to have like set metrics. But I'll make a video on that in the future, so subscribe. But yeah, essentially pickup rate, replies, you can see is like what, 60% from this one. Ask questions. So this looks okay. So that means that it works on the micro. So we can basically scale it to the macro. And that's another thing, right? Business is fractal. Now, fractal means that if you were to reach out to 100 people and no one like replies, it's unlikely that the next 100 is going to be any different to the first 100. So you need to get something to work on the micro, which is like small, to be able to work on the macro, which is really important in my opinion. So yeah. And I think Hormozy talked about this, about how like everyone is looking for like, what's it called? Leverage, which is like getting the most bang for your bucks. So for your time spent getting the most outcome, or like, if that makes sense. Whereas you need to be maximizing to start with, which is just getting the most amount of bucks. So there's a time and a place for like automation and stuff, but just raw, like brutal strength is what you need to start and just scale. And it's going to be chaotic, but you need to find peace in that chaos. And like another mistake I see people make is like they sign a client and then they just completely stop doing outreach. And it's like, what are you doing? You found something that works. You can't scale a business if you just get a client and stop doing outreach. Like when you get a client, the number one priority is results. Because Naval, he's an amazing person, said that you're doing marketing because you failed at, you're doing sales because you failed at marketing. You're doing marketing because you failed at product. Product or service delivery is the most important thing. No questions asked. However, you can't just avoid getting more clients. You need to just put more effort into it now. So it's going to be chaotic, but hopefully that makes sense about tracking this. And yeah, that basically brings us to the end of this video. Now, once again, I'm not pitching anything. If you found this video enjoyable, then just like and subscribe. That's literally all I ask. If you want to see how I can help you and speed up this process, maybe 5 times, 10 times, get you to that 10K a month, then you can check out the links in the description. I've got a school community with done for you systems that I've built. AI appointment setters, AI cold callers, funnels that are pre-built for you. But once again, the point of this video was not to sell you. The point of this video was to give you sheer value. But once again, you can check that out if you want on your own terms. I don't care if you buy. Just subscribe if you liked it, so you can see more of my videos that I'm going to drop soon, which will also be very valuable just like this. And yeah, I'm on a mission to put out better free content than other people's paid. So let's keep it moving. Have an amazing day. And I'll put some videos up here that you can watch for free. And yeah, enjoy. Have an amazing day.